Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture. We're going to talk about market research and validation, and we're going to try to test if your business provides a real solution to the market. Who is your market? Where are they located? What do they currently use and how much do they spend on it? All these questions will be answered in this lecture. So let's talk about the building blocks of your startup. Your business could be at any of those levels. You could have figured out your focus and your offering, and now you're trying to figure out how to make money and who are your customers and maybe who's your team. Those are in no particular order. I just want you to understand that if your business is an app, it might be a different approach than if your business is a service, and be okay with that. And that's why I'm trying to mentor you on a one-by-one basis. So the 7 steps to launch a company. We're going to talk about each one of those and explain where your company is at right now. The first thing you need to do is don't keep it to yourself. Many entrepreneurs do that mistake. They think their idea is so proprietary, and although it's an initial stage, and they just don't share it with anyone. And they try to do it all on their own. A startup is a lot easier if you actually do it with a co-founder. You have someone to share your pains and your joy. You have someone to bounce ideas off with. So feel free to share your idea with other people. Maybe you can use some online resources like Reddit or different blogs. Share that idea and get some feedback on what your idea might entail for different markets. Seek the devil's advocate. I'm going to play a pretty big devil's advocate in this class, but don't only count on me. The goal of a devil's advocate is to tell you what's wrong with your business, and keep an open mind. We're not trying to attack you personally, and this is not an insult toward your idea. We're basically trying just to open your mind on what could possibly go wrong with your business. So I want you to seek those out. Don't only talk to friends and family, because they're always going to support you. They're always going to think your idea is great because they're supporting you as a person. But they might not be truthful about if your idea is a good fit for that market or if it's really needed. So I want you to find that devil's advocate that's going to say, actually, I'm not going to use this. Or I really think this is a stupid idea. And I want you to ask them why. So try to dig deep on the reasoning of why people think it's a good or bad idea. Sometimes it's even easy to say, actually, my friend is working on this idea. What do you think about it? It's a lot easier to say that than saying, hey, this is my business, because people tend to, be shy and not really tell you their real opinion because they don't want to hurt your feelings. The third thing you need to do is build a product that you would use. If your business is not something that you're personally passionate about, it's going to get boring pretty fast. And you're going to notice that maybe 2-3 weeks into the semester, or even if you're doing this in a real setting of life that you're going to run this for a year or 2 or 3 or however long it is, if you're not passionate about that business, it will get old. And you'll start waking up in the morning and feeling that you have to do this because you have to, not because you want to and this is something that you're passionate about. After that, we need to test the idea. We're going to focus on that a lot in this class. We're going to do various tests throughout the semester, and the test will allow you to understand if this idea is good or bad. Because your idea is going to change and it's going to morph, and we're going to try to test the different components of it. We're going to test the design, we're going to test the market fit, we're going to test the pricing. All these components are testing your idea to basically make you reach the best startup that you can build. Start thinking about your revenue model. That doesn't mean you need to have a revenue model that's existing right away. You might not be able to generate revenue until maybe a year from now or 2 years from now. Twitter took forever to generate any revenue, but they actually thought about how to get some money out of the number of users that they have. So I want you to think about how could money and revenue be generated from this business? Because if you're trying to go out to investors and trying to raise funding, you need to have traction, you need to have some idea of how to give them their money back. Create a landing page. This doesn't really have to be a website, it could just be a contact sheet. When people hear about your idea and if they're excited about it, can they go on Facebook and find you? Can they follow you on Twitter? Can they go to a website and share some of their personal information on there, maybe looking for a newsletter or for a follow-up? You want to create a contact page or a contact landing page with a possible customer so you can be in touch with them. So when you decide to do maybe a focus group or a survey, you can reach out to that customer who's already excited about your product or service, and you can try to get their feedback. Now, I want you to start looking for your first client. Your business might not be ready at this point, but you should always be in the mindset of finding that first client. That first client is going to be a true indication if your business is going to have a second and a third client. Why is that client so special? Because they're going to give you true feedback on if your business is a true fit for them and if they'll actually purchase it afterwards if you end up running the business, full steam ahead. One of the biggest problems that entrepreneurs make when they're doing a startup, they start falling in love with their own idea. They basically have a confirmation bias. When they do a market research, they talk to a customer and they might get some negative feedback, but they might ignore that and only focus on the positive feedback. It's a really good idea to have multiple people there because you might hear one thing and someone else on your team might hear something else. I want you to focus on the negatives. And I know it might sound depressing and might sound, negative to you to hear that about your personal idea. But again, don't fall in love with your personal idea and don't be emotional about it. People are giving you this feedback, you should be appreciative because it's just going to make your idea even better. It's going to make your business reach the next level. Because guess what? Some ideas are just bad ideas. And it might be a bad idea for the market that you're looking at. So it might be a bad idea completely. You need to evaluate that. You need to understand if your customers are truly looking for that product or service, or maybe another customer in another country could use that product or service even more. On Blackboard, I share with you a couple different videos that you can look at in terms of bad business pitches and bad business ideas. One of them is called Share the Air. Share the Air was planning to sell air that is packaged in jars. In the US, that was a pretty comical, funny thing. But if you actually look at it now, three years later after that business pitch was made, if you look at China, there's actually companies selling clean air. So the customers were not in the US because in the US, the availability of clean air was there. And the customers did not have a problem with smoking smog or breathing in smog and all that stuff. But in China, on the other hand, that was a big problem. So your idea could honestly just have a bad market fit, and you need to find the right market. Or simply, it could just be a bad idea. But the only person that can tell you that is the market, and you need to do market research. So, how do we understand the state of the market? Well, we come up with this great solution. We need to know that solution is solving a problem. Well, this problem is not a brand new problem. This problem probably existed for a while, and the people who suffer from that problem have existed for a while as well. So someone has attempted to solve that problem before. Do your research on the competitors. You can get a lot of information about the state of the market. Maybe there's one competitor that's actually not doing so well, but maybe there's 10 competitors that they're all doing so well because the market is so hot. So understand who your competitor is, understand how long they've been in business. What is their domination in the market? Do they serve 10% of the market or do they serve 90% of the market? Create a list of what makes them special and how do you think truly your business will be different? If you're creating an app or a website, I really hope you don't say, my website's going to be faster or my website's going to have a better user interface. Because those are really not true differentiators. If a company has existed for a while and they have a pretty big fund and a team of strong engineers, if you're doing something else or if your website looks slightly different, they can change their website too. I want you to truly be critical about what makes your company different than a competitor that has existed in the market for a while and that has already existing customers. I want you to think, what is it going to take for a customer who's used your competitor for a year or two to finally make the decision to switch over to you? And you can be that customer. If you go to a supermarket and you're trying to pick a product, what's going to make you one day decide to go with this bottle instead of this bottle, or with this product instead of this product? That is your business. Understand what your competitors do and how you're going to be different, and be true about that. If people don't want your product, if they're not willing to buy it, if they're not willing to spend money on it, it's probably a bad idea. They might not say it to your face, but if you think your solution to a particular problem is better than anything else, and that market still rejects it, it's probably you're falling in love with your own idea. Let the customer talk to you. If they do want it, it might be a good idea. Now it's your job to figure out how to deliver that product to them and how to actually market it in a good way and find the price fit and build a business from there. So in this class, we're going to try to summarize your business in this very short pitch. And you need to basically say and you need to identify your customers. That could be males ages 18 to 35 within the Tempe area. That is an audience. It could be for seniors living in the Gilbert, Arizona area. I want you to identify a direct market. Sure, your app might be going for teaching someone how to cook. Yeah, everyone in the world that could cook could possibly be a market. But how are you going to get that app to them immediately? So focus only on your direct market in the beginning. So for that market, your product or service is what are you developing? Are you developing an app? Are you developing a service? Which provides, and then tell me what you provide. Tell me what your solution is. Unlike your competitors, now hopefully you've done research on those competitors, you should plug their name in there. And then tell me, how are you going to be different? By understanding your competitors and telling me exactly how you're going to be different, I can see if your business is truly going to be differentiated from anything currently on the market. So during this semester, we're going to try to fit your startup pitch in this little spiel there. Because within a couple words, I'm able to understand exactly what you offer, who do you offer it to, and what's your competitive advantage. Now, understanding your market comes at many different levels, and your market could be different. So those are some things you need to know. Maybe their age, gender, relationship status, location, how much money they make, how often do they purchase this product. Is it a medical product? Is this a want or is this a need? All these components come in play into understanding your market and understanding how big your business could be and if the market really wants it. Once you understand your market, you need to do customer development and research. This could be done on many different levels. You can simply post a simple question on Facebook asking a question of who has this problem. People on Facebook always like to give their opinion, and you'll be surprised how many people will actually answer that. You might even post an idea on there and see what people react. Use Reddit to post on as well. You can also use surveys, you can do face-to-face interviews, you can do all these different things that will allow you to understand who your customer is. Maybe you can even launch a Kickstarter campaign. So Kickstarter is a platform that allows you to pre-sell products, and then you can use that money to develop those products and give those products back to people who supported you. So if you launch a Kickstarter campaign and you actually reach your goal of funding, it's probably a product that people want because they're willing to pay money ahead of time for it. You can even do a simple ad campaign on Facebook and spend $5 and see if people are willing to click on it just because the topic is interesting and because they think this solution is pretty cool. And using the Facebook analytics and the Facebook data, you can target those ads depending on who you think your market is based on the criteria that we just talked about. So during the customer development interview, if you decide to meet someone face-to-face, which I strongly encourage that you do, and it doesn't have to be face-to-face, you're sitting in front of them, you can use Google Hangout, Skype, anything like that. When you're doing those interviews, I want you to use three main components. I don't want you to just go in and say, yeah, this is my business, and what do you think about it? Because usually you're not going to get a true reaction from that. Hopefully the person that you're interviewing is someone that fits within your market, and you're trying to see if they will actually use your product or service. But before you even mention a single word about your product or service, you need to understand who they are as a people. So we're going to build a good foundation. We're going to pick a person that fits that market. We're going to try to understand, does that person fit our age, gender, relationship status, all that kind of stuff? And then we're going to build it from there. We're going to try to understand their problems. What is truly bothering them? What is their pain point? Is this a pain point of 1 that it's like, okay, it doesn't really affect me? Or is it a pain point of 10? This could be like a life or death situation. And then we're going to build a roof, which is present your solution to their problem and see what they react to that. Now, remember, those people are highly preferred that they're not friends and family, so they can give you some true feedback on your product or service. So when you start with the foundation, just ask them who they are. And this could be a very chill session. You're just trying to understand who they are. How do they go about their day? What is their role? How do they interact with other people? Because through those interactions and by understanding who this person is, you're able to create a full vision of who your market is. And once you know that, you will have a better idea how to sell to them, how to market to them, and how to create a product that fits their need even more. Then we build up the walls. Ask them about the challenges that they face. Focus on that one problem and keep digging in. Ask a lot of whys. This is your chance to honestly sit back and listen. If the person that you're talking to is okay with being recorded, please record them. Because you might be sitting in the interview and you might, try to take in as much as possible, but you might miss something. But if you listen to it maybe a time or two or three afterwards, you might hear something that you didn't hear the first time. Try to understand from them, why is the solution that they currently use not satisfactory? And maybe it is satisfactory. And how can you make it better if they're completely happy with it? Because sometimes the customer doesn't even know that they want a product, but that's your job. You need to give them something that they need. Then we come up with a roof. Share with them what your solution is. Maybe if you have a prototype, you have a design, give it to them. Let them interact with it. And that's what we're going to build in this class. We're going to build a minimum viable product. The minimum viable product allows you to get true feedback with a product or a service that the customer can test, can interact with, and can give you true feedback. Read their body language. And again, remember, it's a good idea to say, hey, this is a business that my silly teacher gave us. What do you think about this? It might be a better idea not to link it to yourself so they don't feel obligated not to offend you if it's a bad idea. Remember, your goal here is to just try to understand the market. Try to understand your customer. Do not sell to them at this point. Because you don't really have a product or service. You have an idea, and you're hopefully trying to develop it once you understand that market. And don't fear rejection. Do not fall in love with the first idea that you have. Listen and adjust. Fail fast, fail often. So this is, again, the business pitch that we're going to focus on. How does your business fit in those? Try to fill in the blanks, and you have an assignment question that will require you to fill those in. Be as specific as possible. So if you meet someone and you have 15 seconds, you're able to pitch that right away and basically tell them what your business is all about and how you are different. So by the end of this lecture and by the end of this week, hopefully you can make a decision of if you're going to go or dump the idea. Did the customers and did the market say they love it, they want it? And usually we're looking at hopefully 70% plus approval rating. If people don't like it and people are not understanding it, or it's too difficult, or they think the current solution that they have is pretty satisfactory, then maybe it's a good idea to dump the idea and switch to another idea. So as a team, I wanted to make that decision. So for now, make sure you check all the articles and videos that are available to you on Blackboard in order to give you a full understanding of this concept, and I'll see you next week.